if you don't like using a knife in front of non-knife people, why don't you carry scissors? Hello everyone, Jamie at Cluey Amateurs here, and today I've got a knife review for you. Now, normally on this channel I do side-by-side reviews of similar products and decide which one I think is best. However, today I'm reviewing just one knife, and it is this, the Boker Plus Atlas Multi. I will still be comparing this to a few other products, however the review will be focusing on this one. Now, I picked this up a couple of months ago and have been EDCing it ever since. That was after Adam, who sometimes features on this channel, got me a Heine Haynes voucher for my birthday back in December. Thank you, Adam. And I spent ages deliberating over what to buy. Initially, I thought about getting a Nextool flagship, but then realised I probably wouldn't use it all that much. And then I found these Boker Plus Atlas knives. Now, I was going to get the single-bladed one, but I actually already own quite a few single-bladed UK legal knives, and I don't carry them that much. Then, after a bit of back and forth in the comments on one of my Victorinox videos with Freedom Fox 1, he said to me, well, if you don't like using a knife in front of non-knife people, why don't you carry scissors? And initially I said, well, it just doesn't work for the things I use a knife for. But the more I thought about it, the more I realised the reason for that is that I didn't have scissors, so I used a knife for everything. But actually for opening things like coffee and frozen vegetables, for wrapping gifts, for cutting plasters and band-aids, scissors are perfect. Why don't I have scissors in my EDC? So I picked this up. So let's get into the review. We'll start off with the aesthetics. Now, this has got this lovely mirror finish stainless steel body. You've got this rounded pocket clip on the back. It gives relatively deep carry, but you do have maybe 4 or 5 millimeters of the knife sticking up above the pocket level. You've got your main blade, which has this nice kind of drop point profile. On the blade, you've got the Boker Plus logo and the serial number, and also the type of steel. It's, I believe, 12C27 Scandiv, which we'll talk about a bit later on. In addition to that, you've got the scissors. Pop out like that. Nice big pair of scissors, and we'll see how well these work in a little while. Now, looking at the knife at a first glance, it looks super utilitarian and stripped back, but there are actually some really nice subtle styling cues here. So you've got this little cutout here where the back springs peep through. I'm not sure how well it will show up on camera, but down the centre you've got a brass liner which just gives a really nice little flash of colour. You've got these holes drilled on the back of the knife. The lanyard hole set back into the back spring. Obviously all of the rivets and the pivots stick out, which gives it that kind of industrial utilitarian look. But actually I think there are some really nice subtle, stylish design cues here. There are also some really nice curves which make the knife quite pretty to look at, but also really nice to hold. So on the whole, even though it looks quite utilitarian at the first glance, in my opinion, this is a really nice looking knife once you've held it and taken a closer look at it. The one issue with this mirror finish though is that it picks up fingerprints and marks so easily. I cleaned this just before I started filming, but you would not think so. This is already covered in fingerprints just from me holding it. I also accept that this is probably going to get scratched sooner or later, and you will be able to see those scratches either on the blade or on the handle, but it's a knife that I bought to use, not to kind of lock away in my collection. So as I've already said, in terms of materials, we've got these stainless steel scales, and the knife blade is, as I've said, 12C27 Scandiv. So that's a relatively cheap Chinese-made steel. However, it's got pretty good corrosion resistance, and it's harder than, say, a Victorinox steel. So it's going to hold an edge better, but it might take a little bit longer to get back to that edge once it becomes dull. In terms of size then, let's have a bit of a measure up. So it's just over 9 centimetres long, so 9.5 centimetres long, so it's just under 4 inches for anyone across the pond. Width is 3 centimetres, or just over an inch. The depth without the pocket clips, obviously if you've got it in your pocket, you're only really worried about that depth, is 4 millimeters. And then if we crack out the blade, So you've got a 7cm edge there, and about 17 or 18mm depth. So a really nice sweeping curve there, which I find really nice for those sweeping cuts if you're making something, you need to cut some paper or plastic or food prep. If we compare that to my previous EDC, my Victorinox Spartan, blade's not that much shorter, but it does have much less depth and much less of a curve to it, more of a clip point than a drop point. Now, before we get into the functions of it, let's just see what it weighs. So boost up my scales. And this weighs in at 79.6 grams, about 80 grams. So for such a compact package, it does have quite a weight to it. Now, if you're one of these people who likes super lightweight gear, you're into your titanium and your G10, this might not be for you. But for me, I do like to have a bit of weight there. I like to be able to feel that it's secure in my pocket. Okay then, so functionality. As I've said, you've got a lanyard hole, which I'm not going to use. You've got a pocket clip, which I do use. You've got your scissors and your knife. So let's see how well they cut. The knife is super sharp. Straight through the paper, yeah, really sharp. I have sharpened this, oh god, sorry, that's where I caught it, at the back of the blade. I have sharpened this once after a particularly heavy afternoon of trussing up a lot of old packaging, and it took an edge, and as you can see, is nice and sharp. Scissors are very good. Got this nice comfortable curved end, and unlike Victorinox scissors, they can't ping open. They've got limited travel with this lever attached to the back spring, and they do normal cutting tasks totally fine. Now, I did see someone lambasting the Boca scissors and say, oh, they're not as good as Victorinox because they won't cut through paracord, but I don't think I've ever cut paracord with scissors. I always loop it and just cut it with my knife. For the things I would actually use scissors for, plasters, packaging, wrapping paper, these for me are great. They're a really nice size, and if, as I said previously, you don't need a knife in front of non-knife people, whip these out. It's just a pair of scissors. I don't think anyone's going to take too much issue with that. In terms of safety, one thing I've noticed with the scissors is they shut in the same direction that you push them to operate them. So you're effectively pushing them shut on your hand, but you would really have to push to get them shut. It's not a big deal. Obviously non-locking to be UK legal, however it does have a nice strong back spring. That's taken a fair amount of pressure to shut. I'd be relatively confident using this, even in an environment where something might knock the back of the blade. Pretty comparable to my Spartan in terms of how easily it shuts, and it is much better than the Boca Plus Tech Tool. I've got my Heine Special Edition. My one big complaint with this is just how light that backspring is. That shuts way too easily for me to be comfortable with it. However, this is more of a collection piece. I didn't buy this so much to use, whereas as I've said, the Boca Plus Atlas Multi I did buy to use, which has got the regular Boca box there with your kind of packaging and a bit of background on how to use the knife. So, as I've just mentioned, my previous EDC was this Victorinox Spartan. Now, I do still love this, so why did I replace it with the Boca Plus Atlas Multi? Well, the fact of the matter is, this doesn't fill a gap in my EDC besides being my main blade. I carry a lot of EDC tools. I've got my CRKT Viva with cap lifter and a large screwdriver or pry bar, and also my spanners. I've got my Kershaw dog tag tool with box cutter, small screwdriver, and to be honest, I just wear this because I think it looks cool. And finally, I've got my Gerber dime, where I've got screwdrivers, another pair of scissors, backup blade, really good cap lifter, tweezers, and pliers. So to be honest, I just don't use the functions on my Victorinox Spartan that much, except for the main blade. So I felt that it was time for something a bit narrower that would clip more nicely into my pocket. Now I have got this clip on there, which I do use, but it just doesn't sit as nicely as this nice thin package. So those are the functions and safety for the Bokeh Plus Atlas Multi. In terms of who would carry this then, well, I'd say this is aimed at kind of an urban EDC, as someone who wants something stylish and minimalistic, but that can cut. Really, it's got a good blade, it's got scissors, but it's a nice slim profile, it looks pretty cool, and you just slip it in your pocket without it interfering with the line of whatever you're wearing, or without it interfering with the other things in the pocket, because it's got that nice high carry with pocket clip, and that nice slim profile. Now, I don't carry this all of the time. If I'm going hiking in the woods, I will pick up my Spartan still, and that's because this pocket clip is very tight to the knife. If I'm wearing big, chunky, thick canvas trousers, like I often do when I go hiking, this does not comfortably clip on there. It isn't secure, and it is stretching this pocket clip. In the literature in the box, they make it very clear this is a pocket clip, not a belt clip. The pockets on those trousers are pretty belt thickness. They're very thick. So in those instances, I do revert to my trusty old Spartan. Now, in terms of the cost of these, you can pick these up on Heinnie Haynes for £25, which I think is a great deal for the tools that you get in this package. If you just want the blade, so if you just want the Bokeh Plus Atlas, not the Atlas Multi, with just the blade, that is £20. In fact, I think it's slightly less than £20. However, I decided I wanted the scissors. I also find that because I've got quite big hands, very narrow knives are not comfortable for me to grip. And if this were any more narrow, if we took away that scissors layer, this would probably not be nearly as good an EDC tool for me. So that's about it for the Bokeh Plus Atlas Multi. I've really enjoyed using it over the last couple of months. And hopefully this has been helpful to anyone who is considering buying one. I would definitely say go for it. At that price point, you're getting quite a lot for your money, very solidly built and very useful. So yeah, Bokeh Plus Atlas Multi, a good UK legal EDC option. If you've got one of these, if you're thinking of buying one, do please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button and do consider subscribing as well. We don't just do gear reviews, we do car stuff, we do airgun stuff, I'm going to try and do some science projects. It's a real eclectic mix, and one of the things I've enjoyed most about having this channel is interacting with you guys. You know, the discussions I've had in the comments, every time I see I've got a new subscriber, I get honestly childishly excited, so please do consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you've got any ideas for videos, let us know. I'm always looking to make new content. Right now though, I've been Jamie, this has been Cluey Amateurs, this has been the Bokeh Plus Atlas Multi, and I'll see you next time.